Hello, LegacyMaker Sports Network. It is Joey, your Virginia Tech sports analyst, and I am so happy that football season is back. And let me tell you, the Virginia Tech Hokies, they looking spicy. Let's talk about that for a minute, because, for real, Virginia Tech is looking really good. They've got 84% of last year's production returning, 91% of that is on offense, and 77% of that is on defense. I mean, they looking really good. And then when you add that to a schedule that really kind of favors Virginia Tech in a lot of ways, it really kind of makes the perfect storm for VT. Let's talk about some of those returning pieces. You've got Antoine Powell-Ryland, who's, was a monster last season, racking up 14.5 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, and then you add to him the, Aeneas Peebles transfer and him teaming up with Josh Fuga. That is going to be a nasty interior line, along with Dorian Strong and Mansour Delane in the backfield. I mean, the Hokies are going to be nasty on defense. And then on offense, you've got just about the entire offense back. I mean, you've got Kyron Drones who comes back, you've got Bashal Tootin, and that doesn't even include the return of Ali Jennings and Nick Gallo. So this team is going to get so much better this season, and they were already looking really good towards the end of last season. So let's break it down game by game, and let's see, realistically what the Hokies could do this season. So this season kicks off on August 31st as the Hokies travel to Nashville to face Vanderbilt, an ACC versus SEC showdown. And while Vanderbilt may be near the bottom of the ACC, I don't think that they should be taken lightly at all. They've got a new offensive coordinator, a largely revamped offense. Vandy presents a challenge, but with the Hokies, the way that they bolstered themselves on defense and Vanderbilt's unproven unit, I really feel like Virginia Tech has the edge going against Vandy to start out. Then September 7th brings the Hokies back home for their home opener against Marshall, and last season Marshall started out strong, but then they kind of faltered. They finished with only 2 wins in their final 9 games, and Marshall lost a lot of key players. And so I really feel like that's a game that the Hokies can really take control of and really kind of get on track. And then next it's back on the road to take on Old Dominion on September 14th. The Monarchs were scrappy last year with 11 of their 13 games decided by 1 score, but their offense really struggled, especially with pass protection, allowing an FBS worst 62 sacks. With Virginia Tech's defense eager to capitalize, I really feel like the Hokies should leave Norfolk with a win. After Norfolk, the Hokies return home on September 21st to face Rutgers, a team that handled them relatively easy last year and handed them a loss. Rutgers boasts a tough, physical defense, and honestly, this matchup could go either way, but with Virginia Tech playing at home, that Lane Stadium crowd, I've got to give the Hokies an edge in this one. The next game on the docket is September 27th, and that's when things get serious as the Hokies travel down to Miami. The Hurricanes are loaded with talent, especially with Washington State transfer quarterback Cam Ward at the helm. This will be a true test for Virginia Tech, and while it'll be a hard-fought game, I think Miami might be too strong to overcome at home. Then brings the cross-country trip. October 5th, they head to Stanford, one of ACC's newest members. Stanford is in a rebuild, struggling on both sides of the ball. Despite the challenges of travel, I really do think that with the fact that Stanford is rebuilding, the Hokies should be able to take care of a team who's really still trying to find their footing. Then we get the Thursday night game in Lane Stadium, and honestly, it doesn't get any better than this. Every single year, the Hokies get to host the magical Thursday night game that they helped invent with ESPN, and this year is going to be no different. They host Boston College in what should be the most electrifying environment that Lane Stadium has seen up to this point this season. While BC is still trying to find its identity under new coach Bill O'Brien, the Hokies should feed off of that home crowd and secure a Thursday night victory. Then comes homecoming, October 26th in Blacksburg, and the Hokies will welcome Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets are a well-rounded team returning key players on offense and a revamped defense. This game could go either way, but with the homecoming crowd behind them, I really feel like the Hokies have an edge. Then comes November 2nd, and November 2nd is kind of tricky because it's a potential trap game as the Hokies head to Syracuse. The Dome has been a tough place for Virginia Tech, with their last win coming in 2000. While Syracuse is a team in transition, the Hokies will need to stay sharp to avoid the upset. Still, the Hokies should pull out a win if they can remain focused. Next up is the game that every Hokies fan really kind of has marked on their calendar because potentially Virginia Tech could be undefeated coming into this game. Clemson gets to come into town, something that they don't do very often, and they are going to be ranked when Clemson comes to Blacksburg. Dabo Swinney's squad is a perennial contender, loaded with talent on both sides of the ball. This will be a true test for Virginia Tech. And while the Hokies will put up a strong fight more than likely because it's at home, I really feel like Clemson has the edge in that one. After Clemson comes Duke. On November 23rd, takes the Hokies to Durham to face the Blue Devils. With a new head coach and a team in rebuild mode, the Blue Devils are likely to struggle this season. The Hokies should capitalize and come away with a solid ACC win. And finally, November 30th, the game every football fan in Virginia waits for, Virginia Tech versus UVA. The Hokies dominated last year, but rivalries are never easy to predict. And while UVA has gone through some tough times recently, including unimaginable tragedy, they come into this season with a veteran squad and a lot to prove. But with Lane Stadium rocking and Brent Pry and every other Hokie taking this rivalry incredibly personally, the Hokies really should emerge victorious. I mean, it's really shaping up to be an exciting season in Blacksburg. There's going to be a lot of challenges, but a lot of opportunities and the potential for something truly special. The question is, can the Hokies rise to the occasion? Well, we'll find out. I'll be following them along all season, and we'll make sure that you guys are there for all of it. Thanks so much, guys.